When it comes to professional horse training, I feel like there's a couple of different boats that you could be in. One is either, hey, if it's not broken, don't fix it. The other is more of a, let's learn everything we can all the time and change up everything we're doing. And I feel like I'm a little bit of both. So in today's video, I'm going to be explaining to you guys some of the things that I'm planning on doing a little bit different this time around when it comes to training a new Mustang. This Mustang I'm picking up in July for Teens and Oregon Mustangs 2025. I am super excited, but I thought I would explain a little bit of my thought process going into this new challenge. And if you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is Shay, and I'm also known as the emotional equestrian over here at Wild Lily Horsemanship. If you guys can hear my child squawking, I am so sorry. He's supposed to be napping. This is the second day in a row he has refused to take a nap, so hooray. Here we embrace emotional awareness and equestrian strength, diving into Mustang training, connection, and the powerful bond between horse and rider. I guide fellow equestrians in building deep, mindful relationships with their horses grounded in emotional understanding and strength. All that being said, let's go ahead and jump into today's video. Now, the very first thing that I wanted to talk about is kind of a big one for me. The last couple of years, I've really expanded my training philosophies and trying to figure out where I stand in the world of operant conditioning. Penny has tremendously opened my eyes to the world of positive reinforcement and the good that it can do specifically for Mustangs, horses that are incredibly intelligent and can learn so quickly. And with the combination of their intelligence and positive reinforcement, I feel like Penny's training has just skyrocketed. Now, here is where my issue lies with that. As much as I want to approach this training challenge with as much positive reinforcement as I can, I feel like it's really, really difficult to maintain a 100-day competition and strictly do positive reinforcement. And not that it's even all about the competition aspect, but if my goal is to open up a little bit more of Mustang training and positive reinforcement, trying to be involved in a community and a competition that could help encourage that path of training, I think is super important. That being said, I do have a couple of personal boundaries when it comes to positive reinforcement. Number one for me is always going to be safety. I want whoever is working with my horse, with a horse that I'm working with, to be safe. That is 100% my main issue when it comes to training. I have a 3-year-old that likes to run around the horses, and as much as I can train him as much as possible to be quiet around horses, I also need to make sure that that horse is safe for him, safe for me, safe for anyone else that handles that horse. Even Penny, who has had a ton of positive reinforcement training as well as negative reinforcement training, has pushed a couple of boundaries. We're starting to figure things out. We figured out that doing more turnout time for her or getting some good exercise in, specifically while I was down for the count recovering from major surgery, that was a huge game changer. At one point, she was starting to charge people, and I can't blame those people for wanting to create a safe barrier by utilizing a stick in between them and Penny to keep themselves safe. I can't blame them for that. That being said, it's something that made me change up my training a little bit more with Penny, utilize things that I could teach to the people handling her to create a little bit safer of an environment. It's about communicating to everyone what the steps are going to be and how to properly train my horse and what steps that I can take to make her safe for other people to handle. I also want to state that I really don't believe that aversive stimulus or pressure and release is necessarily a bad thing. I think a lot of people tend to think that if you use positive reinforcement, it needs to be entirely positive reinforcement, and that's just not something that I can get behind. Partially because at the end of this competition, this horse will be sold, and I can't guarantee that it's going to go to a positive reinforcement home. It could be someone that strictly trains negative reinforcement, and if that's the case, the horse has to be comfortable enough with pressure that they're still safe for that new owner, for that new handler. And lastly, when it comes to positive reinforcement, I don't want to be the one that is holding the food or the resource. I want there to be enough resources around, enough food around that the horse could still get food and not have me in between them. It creates a little bit more safety if they can still get to their own resource. I don't need them to be able to come up to me to go get hay. especially because when it comes to training Mustangs, they don't know what traits are, they don't know what grain is, they don't know what pellets are. So in the beginning, it's going to be very much a hay bag on my side, and I just do what I can, or I might toss the hay into a grain bin that's on the floor, something to still allow the positive reinforcement. But in the meantime, while the horse is getting their little snack, I'm able to step back a little bit and offer them the release. For those of you that don't know, when it comes to teaching pressure and release or negative reinforcement, the horses don't learn from the pressure. They don't learn from that stimulus. They learn from the removal of that stimulus, hence negative reinforcement. Now, the second thing that I think is super important that I did not do enough of with Penny was getting the horse out to as many places as I possibly can. That means shows, that means camping, that means trails, that means other barns, that means anywhere that I can go that would offer a new stimulus or new horses to be around, something to get the horse to understand that hauling to new places isn't necessarily a scary thing. With Penny, I think I took her off the property a total of like 2 times before the show, and it's really, really hard to recreate that show environment, recreate those vibes. So by taking her to things like local shows, getting her to go get some experience, it's not about the ribbons and prizes at that point. It's about getting her the experience so that she is more comfortable. This new Mustang needs to be more comfortable. So taking them to shows, taking them on new trails, new barns, new campgrounds, all of that is going to create a more well-rounded horse when it comes to their confidence in new environments. That also being said, I want to make it a goal to socialize to as many types of horses as possible. I even have it on my schedule to go to a gaming play day, and that's not something that I plan on doing. That's not really something that I enjoy doing. So I, more than anything, am just going to go to have the horse at the trailer, walk around the arenas, and let them see the environment. Let them see horses that are a little bit more hot and excited, and let them understand that just because this horse is crazy hot right now doesn't mean that there is something dangerous, some sort of predator that we need to be watching out for. We have to remember these are wild horses where in a herd, if one horse is alert and then gets a little bit hot, that's usually because there's some sort of danger that's out there, whether that's people, whether that's animals, whether that's a trash bag. That's some sort of scary thing that they need to be able to get away from. So taking this horse around horses that are a little bit more excited and getting them to understand that despite this horse being a little bit haywire, we're okay, we're safe. There's not going to be a mountain lion in a barrel racing competition, so you should be fine. Another massive, massive difference, you guys probably can't tell. I live in a townhouse, so there is a backyard, but I cannot fit a pin in the backyard. I cannot put a Mustang on fake grass. So we need to board for this competition, which in itself is a little bit of a feat, but that's definitely going to be something that's different and changes my schedule and the way that I work around training this horse. First of all, I have a 3-year-old toddler, like I said, that loves to run around the horses. So I can't just leave him in the truck in the middle of July in the middle of the day. So for me, I need to figure out a way to get out there first thing in the morning or late in the evening while we still have some sunshine and be able to work the horse at that point. That's also partially because I don't love working horses in high heat anyway. I don't totally feel like it's necessary if I'm able to get there earlier in the morning or later in the evening. One other thing that I am super grateful for is that my husband is willing to take a few days off from work so that right after we get the Mustang home, I can just take a few days to be out at the barn for as long as I need to be. And that's not to do like 3-hour sessions. It's more so to be available and not have to drive back home the 15 minutes, come back multiple times in a day. Ideally, sessions are going to end up being 15-20 minutes in the beginning and start to work their way to be a little bit longer. And by doing these short little sessions, it gives the horse a little bit more of a reprieve, a little bit of a break in between these sessions to get them to understand that people aren't all that bad. That will give you some space as long as you kind of work with us a little bit. Now, Penny was a little bit different in this situation. If you go back to my day 1 of the 2022 tip challenge with Penny, she actually got kind of stuck into a little stall for one night because I was terrified she was gonna jump the panels. First of all, I did not piece together that she was 14 too. I don't know why my brain didn't fathom that, and 5-foot panels. Granted, this is the first Mustang I'd ever worked with. The gal that hauled her said she was absolutely going nuts at her barn and that she was going to jump my 5-foot panels. I was terrified, so I just kept her in the little stall area for the night, got her more accustomed to leading, and then by the next day, I was able to get her out into the full pen. That is not my plan for this situation. Knock on wood, nothing like that happens. Now, lastly, the last thing that is going to be very different. First of all, this is a riding competition, not just in hand. So I have to add a whole other element of getting this horse fully comfortable with tack and riding and cues in the saddle, not just on the ground. So that also is a big difference that I don't think about half the time. But I really want to teach useful tricks. And I don't want to focus heavily on bowing or laying down or smile. Like, all that stuff is fun, but it's just not as necessary for the riding portion of this competition. I say it that way because the in-hand competition does have a little bit of a freestyle, and their freestyle that they have for the riding competition is more of a compulsory or equitation class where you're showing off specific maneuvers. It's not a freestyle where you get to pick and choose what you want to show. So it doesn't feel as necessary for me to do those fun tricks. If I have time, if that's something that is enjoyable for both me and this horse, potentially it could be an option, but I just think it's not something that's going to be a main priority. Not when that specific part of it doesn't actually come into the scores. I'm more concerned about creating a well-rounded horse for whoever is going to purchase this Mustang. They don't necessarily need tricks. Like, they're very cool, they're very fun. Look at Penny, look at Sage, everything that I did with them as far as tricks. It's all very fun, but in the span of 100 days, that's only so much time to make your horse competition ready. And to be honest, I would rather spend that extra bit of time making our groundwork spot on. They have a showmanship and an in-hand, body and conditioning class. Body and conditioning? Nope. For in-hand classes, they have both showmanship and a handling and conditioning class. And for me, I'd rather make sure that both of those are spot on if I'm already done with like riding training for the day. If I'm just doing a little bit of extra things at the end of the day, I want to make sure that that horse is clean on what I'm asking it to do in a showmanship or handling conditioning class. I just had commented on someone's posts. They were asking about what tricks that they could teach their horse. And I said, I think a basic that is really looked over is just setting your horse up, getting them square, getting them balanced from the ground. A lot of people go into showmanship classes and not truly understand what the point of a showmanship class is. Originally, it was designed to showcase a horse that you were trying to sell. It was designed to showcase their skills from the ground, the basic things that they could do. So that being said, you need to do that to the absolute best of your abilities. When you are asking your horse to stop at any point in time on the ground, you should be asking them to set up so that they can start to get to a point that they understand when you ask for a stop, they need to be balanced at least, if not completely square in their feet. Penny's pretty dang spot on with that at this point, I would think. I think that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you got a little bit of something out of it. I am super excited for this competition. I'm so ready for July to be here, and it's not even the end of April. I'm so ready to pick up this Mustang and start this process all over again. I am so excited, and for this one to be a riding competition is kind of a new ball game for me. And I've trained horses from the ground up before, but doing a competition on a timeline puts just that little extra stress on there. So I'm very, very hopeful, very excited about this challenge. So if you guys want to keep watching, I am going to make another playlist like I did for Penny with the tip challenge. I'm going to make a playlist that has all the information about this challenge and this horse, and I'm so excited. In the comments down below, let me know if there's anything else that you want to know about with the Teens and Oregon Mustangs challenge. I do plan on doing an additional vlog this year, just like I did last year, because there's actually 2 challenges this year. So one I will cover as a vlog, one I will take you guys along with me as a competitor. which is crazy. If you like the video, feel free to like, subscribe, ding the notification bell, do all the things, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.